Hi, everyone. It was an overall impressive day by the stock market. Unfortunately, we couldn't really, close out on the highs. So, there is a little bit, be left to our imagination. But overall, it was a strong day with the NASDAQ up 0.39%. You can see that despite us moving higher, we are still working off those overbought conditions quite nicely, actually. You can see on the MACD and TSV, especially on the NASDAQ. It's even most apparent on the Russell 2000 as we're getting back to the zero line on MACD. I like to see that a lot. All the while, we have held up really well despite the incredible overbought conditions. Dow Jones Industrial Average, same thing. This thing has completely, we were under a soft neutral. Dow Jones Industrial Average is obviously back under a buy condition. New York Stock Exchange, as you can see, is very close behind. S&P 500, that is now also back under a buy signal as it is closing now at a new high. So overall, the market looks very, very healthy here. NASDAQ is inches away from being back under a buy signal. Same with the NASDAQ 100, but the Russell 2000 still also has a little bit ways to go. But once again, let's look at stochastics. Stochastics is working off the overbought levels very well in the Russell 2000. S&P 500, we can now see that it's finally starting to turn down a little bit, but you can see it's trying to round up, so it's not like we're going to be able to get to completely oversold levels here, but it's nice to see what we're doing while we work off the overbought conditions. It just shows that the market's very strong. And even though, once again, volume wasn't anything miraculous today, it just doesn't matter because we have breakouts everywhere, which then leads us to tonight. I only have one new long signal on the end of day, but intraday, SUPN, my buy stop was hit. This stock is an incredible growth stock. It's the best one I've seen this entire uptrend. Last like 6 quarters of sales are over 1,000%. Next year's earnings per share is supposed to be an increase of 5,200% to 52 cents a share from 1 cent a share this year. So it's a great stock. This should be a long-term hold in my IRA, but for a momentum-based trade also, it broke the buy stop and it's now a long position, but I believe this is a long-term hold. Our biotech specialist is doing more research on it tonight, but SUPN appears to be a long-term hold in our IRA, which will be part of our long-term newsletter that will be starting very soon. But SUPN appears to be qualifying. Also, DXCM, I got my buy stop triggered. Horrible fill though, absolutely horrible fill. It was like somewhere right around 54.50. It should have been 54.51. But 54.55, I am long DXCM, so that got filled. And then TSEM, I set a buy stop, which was dumb, thinking that this thing would consolidate a few more days before trying to break out. It tried to break out intraday today, and obviously it really couldn't hold. So my buy stops were triggered around 13.34. Stock's closing at 13.30. So far, it's all well, but because it's triggered so soon, and I really, like I said, I thought this thing was going to base out a few more days. Then if it would have broke out, it'd been fine. But today's breakout is too soon. Should have taken off the buy stop. It's just too early. So I don't expect it to really work. So if it doesn't work, my final cut loss level is at close below 12.32. I'll be putting that on the book tonight. Just wanted to make mention that we are long TSEM. The only new long position on an end-of-day basis is TRNX. Great sales growth. Earnings, leave a little bit to the imagination. I want to go ahead and pull up the Market Smith. You can see sales are pretty solid. We got mutual fund ownership increasing. At least there's positive cash flow, and earnings per share is supposed to lose less money next year. So we do have the appropriate catalyst. There are a couple of insider buys also on this weekly along with your sells. So overall, pretty solid looking stock. Just wish the financials were a little bit better, but as it is, it's a medical stock. Medical stocks are doing good. So TRNX, if we're wrong, we don't lose a lot of money at all. And as you can see on this Zoom 4 chart, very, very pretty. The only sells that we have are GMCR. It triggered my full sell stop yesterday, but because it reversed and based on an end-of-day basis on final sells, I always look and be like, would I have completely sold it off at the end of the day based on this? And I said no. With it closing at 137.84, it held the 137.53, 52 lows. So I went ahead and bought back my 10 shares that I sold off as my final sell. But after today, they're gone. I expected it to hold this support and rally immediately, and the fact that it didn't, it's down again. I'm just going to go ahead and completely move on because there's just too many good-looking stocks out there. So GMCR is a full sell, and that is the only sell today. CPHD, need to watch this one closely, as this was one of the weakest stocks that didn't trigger a sell signal today. But overall, everything looks really, really, really good. Buy stops I still have on the books. Now, I don't have much cash left, so I got to decide which buy stops are more important than the other. DTSI, IQ&T, which I'm already long, but that's a beautiful flat base. LABL right now is the best looking one. ILMN is the strongest stock overall, setting up in a pattern. RDWR, however, this one, I don't want it to break out here. So I think I'm taking my buy stops off the book because it looks like TSEM is too short of a pattern, too far away. So I'm going to go ahead and probably forget about that one. EIGI, this is one I want to watch closely with all of its max green bot building. It could go ahead and produce another pocket pivot point signal and a breakout above the downtrend line. I'll be long. But if it breaks out below the downtrend line and I still don't get long, I'll be setting buy stops just above the 1716 level on EIGI. SIG is another one that I will be watching for a buy stop position. HNT also would like it to move sideways a little bit more now. And then my biggest one that I want on a speculative side is GERN. Look at all of that max green bop that came before the second series of accumulation. It held up, and as it pulls back, it's maintaining the max green bop on a low volume pullback. So buy stops are going to be set just above the 393 level. But once again, I'm not sure which ones I want. LABL, DTSI, ILMN, GERN, and EIGI look like the best. IQ&T then, if I can raise any more cash, would be next. And SIG because it's in the perfect speculator scan.